It's been noticeable since the beginning of the new version of Shaman King that it's going at a much faster pace than we expected, but this episode is more noticeable than any of the others so far. Let's talk about Shaman King episode 4. While looking for a best place with his friends, Ryu of the Wooden Sword gets possessed by an evil spirit looking to settle a score with Amidamru. I feel at this point like I'm ending every description of the episode with something Amidamru. But before I dive into my review, I want to know what you think of this episode of Shaman King. Have you been enjoying the show thus far? Have you not? Let me know all that in comments below. Start the conversation. And if you're new to the channel, you haven't clicked the subscribe button yet, consider clicking it. It does wonders to get my content out there. And if you ever get tired of me or my voice, you can always unsubscribe. It's all fine and dandy. So this is the Tokageroh episode. And by the way, spoilers if you're not aware of what these reviews are about. But Ryu, while looking for a place to hang out with his friends for them to belong, he gets possessed by this spirit, Tokageroh, who is looking to avenge something that Amidamru did to him 600 years ago. And it pretty much goes along the same beats of what the previous version of the show did. But looking at this version alone in isolation and judging it fairly, it still feels very lacking, because essentially this episode, as Ryu getting possessed, he goes to Yoh to take revenge on Amidamru while having Manta as a hostage, but the drama that ensues of that is very lacking because these characters don't have a relationship yet. I want to judge this show on its own, never compare it to the manga or to the previous show. It has to be good or bad in its own merits, but for the sake of explaining what I'm trying to say and why this didn't really work for me, let's look back at the previous show. In the previous version, at this point when Tokageroh comes into the picture, Ryu had been working chores at Yoh's house. He had been serving them food, he had cleaning their hallways and their bathrooms. He had started to formulate a relationship with these people. They were starting to be friends. Ryu hasn't been with our main characters ever since the first episode, and then he had a small interaction with Manta in which he still beat him up. Going more to that point, it was my complaint last week that we did not see the moment where Ryu does give the sword to Manta. We just suddenly see Manta having the sword and taking it to Yoh, and so the drama in this episode doesn't really work with our heroes trying to save Ryu. Of course they have to try to save him. They're good people. They don't want Ryu to die. They don't want Ryu's best friends to die. But the drama that could have ensued of this if we had already started to build a relationship and a friendship with these characters, if we had already seen that Ryu wants to become a shaman, he wants to train hard, and that's why he is cleaning their hallways and their bathrooms and serving them food in the previous version. But there's nothing of that in this version thus far. But to be fair, there are moments in this episode that I really enjoyed. I always like diving into the backstory of Amidamru and Mosuke when they were kids, and we get to see in this version that Tokageroh was really a guy who burned down their home, who pillaged their village, that rhymed, and took everything away from them, and that's why Amidamru got in his way eventually and took revenge upon Tokageroh in the first place. I also think it's really cool the moment when Ryu's friends take Manta away from him and hold him back because they don't want Ryu to be this asshole. They still believe in their friend and talk about their backstory, how they were all brought together by Ryu himself. I think that's really cool. Even the moment where Anna takes him down, it's really freaking cool. And I also really love, essentially, what we've seen before of Yoh giving a chance to Tokageroh to possess his body so he can feel that love, that nurture, that friendship, those good feelings that stop you from going into the dark side and becoming an evil person. But even that moment is so rushed and it's all compressed into this 20-minute episode, and I feel the episode never had moments to breathe. If we're having these dramatic moments, these dramatic beats for the characters' arcs where they are going to change their perspective and change goals, we need to let things sink in and breathe a little bit, and I really didn't think this episode allowed that to happen whatsoever. The interactions are still really fun, these characters are still true to themselves, and I like that, but there are relationships that were not built up until this point, and they're kind of trying to pay off relationships that just don't exist, beats that just haven't happened. So this is the first episode that felt really odd to me and really affected and took away from the show, from the story, because so far we've noticed the faster pace. To me, it hasn't bothered me in general. This is the first one where it really did. It is the first episode where I felt we have a lot of cool moments, but we have nothing in between those cool moments building from one to the next. And I think that was absolutely crucial to this episode. So this week's Shaman King ends up being a disappointment for me, but what did you think? Maybe you haven't enjoyed the show thus far, but you really liked this episode. I want to know, throwing it over to you, let me know in the comments below and start the conversation is the most important part. And if you've watched the video this far but still haven't subscribed, consider clicking it and supporting the channel. And again, you can always unsubscribe in the future if you get tired of my face or my voice. Thank you so much for watching, you are the best. My review of the finale of The Falcon and Winter Soldier is up. My review of Invincible Episode 7 is up. My review of the first season of Shadow and Bone is up, so go check those out. And later today I will have my review of Mortal Kombat. I'm so pumped for that. Thank you so much once more, you are the best. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.